welcome back to another episode of NFT Artist Spotlight, hosted by AstroZero. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
Tonight on AstroZero Twitter Spaces, we have one of the most positive people that I've met on these spaces in general. Him and his partner Jester, they're doing tons of charity work, and they have a fantastic NFT project, and I'm very glad to talk to you tonight. It's Komards NFT. So welcome, man. Thanks for coming and sharing your positivity with the community. Really, really happy to have you here with us.
Well, I'll tell you, when we first mentioned, setting this up and doing this, I once again I was humbled. I haven't been in this space very long, and to get people wanting to talk to me and do an AMA or an interview or whatever you want to call it, it was humbling. So I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I know you do a lot of stuff, especially with a whole bunch of different types of charity projects, and you host your own Twitter Spaces, and you really try to get involved in the community. So thanks for setting an hour aside for us and talking with us. Can you first? This is my first question. What's a Komards? Because I even Googled this, like thinking it's like some exotic lizard looking at your PFP, and I still haven't been able to figure out what a Komards is.
So, okay. Since my youth, I had used a gamer tag called Komard. And it was actually my first character in World of Warcraft back in 2005 beta. I started playing World of Warcraft in 2005, and it was my first character. And it was shortly thereafter that I actually noticed a lot of people really dug that name of Komard. And as a result, it kind of just took off, and a whole lot of people started using different variations of it, things like that. And because I never want to forget where I come from, I felt it would be appropriate to be a reminder of, hey, look at where you started, remember where you started, and how you got to where you are. And that's why we went with Komards NFTs.
So where are you from?
Originally, I'm from a small town in Iowa. I graduated high school in 1995. And when I graduated high school, I went straight into the United States Army. I did a 6x2 tour for them as an 11 Bravo. I did go to Fort Benning for my basic training and for my airborne school. And right after I finished airborne school, I was deployed to the Sinai Peninsula. And pretty much for the remainder of my contract with the United States Army, outside of like 6 months, I was literally in an assortment of countries, and I can't really go into a whole lot of detail, but yeah.
That's fine. You don't have to talk about your past as far as like that goes. I was just curious what part of the U.S. you're from. Is that Jester? How you doing, Jester?
Yeah, how's it going? Thank you for having us, first of all. I'm Rhode Island.
Okay. So, I was reading a little bit of the backstory as far as like how your project kind of started. And Jester, I guess you're a tattoo artist, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So are you still doing that, or are you going like a different route now? Did you stop tattooing? Are you still doing it? Do you have a shop? Do you own a shop? Do you work at a shop?
I work in a shop, and I will never stop. It is literally the best thing I've ever done art-wise. I've been an artist all my life, but tattooing is just, there's so many great parts to it that people don't even understand. You can literally change somebody's point of view on themselves, how they feel about themselves with a tattoo, just with some art. You know what I mean? Especially when you do like a cover up. If somebody has something regretting from their past or whatever, which I also personally, any hate tattoos, like somebody who, was maybe a white supremacist and stuff like that, I don't charge to do cover ups for those. If anything, they can just toss a tip. That's just something I do personally. It's not like the shop's policy or anything. It's just something I personally do. Eventually, I would like to open my own shop. I think that would be awesome.
Do you think there's a place in the tattoo world for NFTs? And if so, have you thought about it? And what kind of ideas do you think we could do to incorporate it? Because it's one of the most well known pieces of art that people get done. Maybe it wasn't 50 years ago, but nowadays, like everybody has a tattoo, whether it's something that they got in college or something they got when they got married for husband and wife or their partner or however it is. It's almost like everybody. It's almost uncommon for people not to have tattoos. So, do you think there's a way that we could kind of incorporate the blockchain into the tattoo world?
I've had personally several ideas as far as for even like within the metaverse, um, that as far as ways to possibly include tattoos, even as like what is it, the real world aspects to it. Like
Be
I have a bunch of
careful.
ideas for that.
Yeah, please be careful, guys. We're not one to throw all of our ideas out. But yes, we have thought about it, and when the timing is right, we're definitely going to try to implement uh, tattooing into the blockchain and into the metaverse at some point.
All right, I like it. I like it. Not giving all the information, just giving little breadcrumbs. I like it. Good stuff. So, how long ago did you guys start this project together, and what made you decide to get into NFTs? Is this your first project, both of you, or have you worked with some other projects, even in like maybe a community standpoint, not necessarily doing the art and the marketing and stuff, or is this the first one that you're both getting into? And if it is, what made you decide to go for it?
Well, for me, uh, we got kind of introduced to NFTs in general by a friend of ours, who some of you may know is on here, going by 808 Warriors. He is a real life friend of mine, but he kind of introduced us to the idea of it. And then Jester had done a couple of drawings for him that he had commissioned. And then, you know, I started doing homework on it and looking at it and things like that. And Jester and I got to talking, and we were like, man, we could really do this and help people and make the world a better place. And it was really in about, I would say, towards the end of October that we really started getting into it and looking at how we were going to do something. And then we spent the next several weeks, discovering and learning and educating ourselves as to exactly what NFTs were, and we had a rough idea on what it was we wanted to do. We didn't have like an official roadmap at that time of how we were going to do it, but we knew that we wanted to do a project that was geared towards charitable organizations, and then we narrowed it down to saying, well, let's do one smaller project every week for a different charity to bring awareness to the charities that maybe don't get the awareness that they should, or maybe don't get the funding that they should. And then we were about 2 weeks in, and Jester and I had talked about, well, how can we get the community involved? And so we started our Friday night charity chill and chill space on Friday nights at 8 o'clock, where we encourage people to come in there and share their charities with us. And then Jester and I will sit down and do our homework on Google and different places that are suggested. And then if I have the opportunity to get in touch with somebody from that organization, I definitely try to make a call and literally speak to those people to find out more about them, to find out if they're set up for cryptocurrency, or if we would have to do a traditional Web2 payment, or exactly how those kinds of things work. And so some weeks I'm not able to get in touch with anybody just because some of these organizations are much like us and constantly on the go. But other weeks, it seems like people are absolutely willing to reach back out in a timely fashion, and we can just continue rocking and rolling with our plans.
How many? I don't know how many charities you've reached out to, but how many have you come across that actually do accept crypto?
To date, none. And
Yeah.
when that happens, what I try to do is talk them into onboarding and letting them know that if you guys would accept these forms of payment, that very realistically, you could see a whole nother source of revenue stream coming in that you wouldn't have ever been able to receive otherwise. Now, to date, I have not been successful in convincing any of these organizations because most of them have boards. And so all these decisions that they have to do have to go through the boards of directors and the executives and things like that. So it's really challenging to do this for some of them. But we did a charity project for a local charity here, and I literally took her cash money, and I mean, it wasn't a lot because we hadn't sold very many of her pieces that we designed for her or anything like that. But I took cash money to her, and even with as little of amount as I feel it was, um, she lost her mind. She had a meltdown because she couldn't believe that somebody went out of their way to do something nice for her without expecting anything in return. And we as a people should not be like that.
Well, that's really the true way of showing, how grateful you are for what you have. You give to somebody and don't expect anything in return. That's exactly what it is. You give it freely. I don't want to sound like an AA commercial or anything like that, but that's pretty much how we operate as well in my fellowship. Um, but that's how it is. You're not supposed to, if you're really giving something to somebody, expecting even a thank you is a selfish act. As far as like how I view it personally. But yeah, I was looking, and there are some like larger charitable organizations I know that do accept Bitcoin. I was curious if there's like some sort of transfer point, maybe that if we get crypto, we could take our ETH and then do almost like an exchange with them to send the fiat out to specific charities of choice. I don't know if there is something like that. I haven't checked personally, but that would be something cool that you could do, kind of like when you exchange currency at the airport when you fly to another country. You just go there, you send it, they swap it over to the other currency, and then you go on your way. That would be good if we could do that with like charitable donations. And then I don't know if there would be a conversion rate. I guess there would have to be to cover taxes or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, I mean, right now I haven't seen anything like that because with my travels outside of the countries through the military and stuff like that, I'm fully aware of the exchanges and things like that. But I, as of right now, have not found anything like that yet. But then again, too, that leaves a door open for us to, when we grow enough, to possibly start something like that on our own, that would help those organizations be able to get the funds that is being transferred to them more easily and readily accessible.
I mean, I would assume something like that, right? If you were going to be a conversion for crypto into fiat for charities, that would, you could probably set it up as a 501c3 yourself, and don't take any profits from the conversion, and then register yourself as a charity in order to do whatever donations you get to cover the specific expenses it would cost to do the conversions. I don't know. I got to stop
Well,
giving
right,
them.
right. No, you're right. You could do all of those things. I have looked for other reasons into being listed as a charitable organization and a 503(c). But I also have to tell you that to form a 501(c), it's literally thousands upon thousands of dollars, and not to mention attorney's fees and all kinds of stuff. So it is a process, but it's not one that I'm opposed to doing. But we have to be there financially to do that.
So, what's the ultimate vision that you have of this project? Like, if you look at it, if you take a step back, what do you want Komards to develop into?
Jester and I've talked about that pretty lengthily. No matter what we're doing from one project to the next, okay, and understand why we're doing a new drop or a new collection each week. It all falls into the same project. 2022, make the world a better place. Um, and we've already begun discussions and conversation on what our next massive project is going to be, and that'll start on January 1 of 2023. But it's not necessarily geared as much towards charity. There will be a charity element to it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, just because of the fact that kind of give away a little bit of what the project is. But ultimately, what we would like to see happen with this year's project is to, number one, obviously raise awareness for each of the organizations that we represent each week. And number two, raise enough funds for these organizations throughout the year that we can also achieve the goal of planting 25,000 trees this year. Next year, our goal is going to be to plant 1 million trees. And that'll happen in two segments, with half of that being done at month 6 and half of that being done in the last half of the year.
So you drop a different set of NFTs every week, right? So you get somebody, they come in, they pitch a charity to you guys or some sort of organization. Then you guys kind of work with them with how you want to do the artwork, and then you sell that specific artwork to get donated towards that charity, if I'm understanding everything right.
Yes and no. Okay, so when somebody comes in and presents an organization, myself and Jester look at Google, and I mean, we do a lot of homework on these organizations when it's possible. I mean, we've had some, and I'll use Rose Knight Foundation as an example. There really wasn't at the time a lot of information about them that was readily accessible on Google. Now, that being said, I had also had several hours worth of conversation with him, both prior to and even after selecting their project to feed the 568 Ugandan children. So we did have conversation with Rose Knight Foundation about, what did they envision as being their logo and things like that. And then we kind of came up with a concept piece, and I showed it to him, and he immediately fell in love with it. And so we ran with that one. When it's possible to speak to people about, whether using their logos that they have or using any kind of imagery from those organizations, if I can't get their permission, Jester and I have played it safe in terms of intellectual property and copyrights. We just don't mess with any of that. So more times than not, the designs are created based off of a feeling that myself and Jester get. From those organizations, and how we believe those organizations should be represented. If you look at this week's collection as an example, it was all about the LGBT Center in Raleigh, North Carolina. And one of the things that, and I don't know what drove Jester to put the word love in there and then kind of put a couple of slashes through it or whatever, but to make it kind of wavy looking. But for me, when he showed that to me, it was to show me that love is not always simple. Okay. And being that it also was represented by the colors of the LGBT community and flag, it just pointed out that those for me are challenging times in those people's lives. And I honestly, I was blown away by the piece when he showed it to me. As far as how he felt and how he came up with that idea, I would say ask him.
So I'm asking you, Jester.
A lot of it's just feeling in and of itself. I'll be honest, I like to smoke, and I'll smoke, and then, I'll go to their website, and, I look up, I look them up, I look up the organization, and, I'll pick out certain things that I like, and I just kind of like go from there. It's mainly just really on a feel what I get off of by looking up whatever their particular organizations are at the time.
It's kind of how I write music. I just get in the groove, and then whatever happens, I kind of just go with it. Sometimes you got to edit it a little bit here and there, but you eventually get a final product.
Exactly.
So how do you guys do the collections? Is there a set amount on each collection that you do? And as far as the floor prices that you guys put on these collections, is it the same throughout, or does it differ depending on how many pieces you drop, or is it pretty much uniform throughout?
Well, initially when we started, we were kind of all over the map, not only with the size of the collections, but also with the floor pricing on them. And part of the reason is because we were kind of undervaluing ourselves a little bit, at least according to Matt Hardage, and I kind of saw his point in that. So that was part of the reason, and then the other part of the reason that we were kind of all over the map is because we weren't real sure just how many pieces we would be capable of doing week after week after week after week for each of these organizations. So ultimately, what we've decided is that every collection moving forward will have 25 pieces and technically 28, but only 25 available to the public. One for myself, one for Jester, and one for the person that suggests a said organization. Those I don't count towards the collection, even though they're in it, because they're not available to the public. As far as the floor price on them goes, um, we are pretty much set that the floor price on these moving forward will continue to be the same as what it is now, which is $100. The reason for that being is because the $100, if the organization jumps on board and helps us promote these projects that we do for them, we're doubling down to 30% being donated to them. So that means for every 100, we're donating $30. We just doubled the amount of money that we can donate. The other 15%, it's not as much, obviously, but we wanted to try and give some incentive to these organizations to help do this. And I will be honest with you, I've actually spoken to a pretty well-known organization, and they were pretty disrespectful and rude back when I said something about, well, we would like to do a project for you and would like to offer you the opportunity to increase our donation size from 15% to 30%. And they were like, no, we don't want to get involved. You just go on ahead and do what you're going to do. I'm like, really? You're supposed to be helping people and doing these things. And you're pretty much turning free money away. I've never seen a charitable organization do that up until this point, and I was blown away by it. And because they've done that, it makes me question whether or not I still want to do a project for them. But because Jester and I have a friend that benefits from that organization and getting research done and getting different things done for them, I'm still being pulled towards helping that friend of ours to be able to benefit from this organization's services. Um, but yeah, generally speaking, if an organization is willing to support the project, whether it be through a couple of retweets or posts on their social media, we'll double it down to 30% without question. If they don't want to get on board with it, then we're only going to do the 15%. And again, the idea behind that wasn't to keep more money in our pocket. It was to provide incentive for those organizations to get involved. I have reached out to organizations like Snoop Youth Football League. I've reached out to organizations including St. Jude's. I've reached out to an organization called the Project Chill Valhalla, which is a very close and special charity to me because it honors our fallen brothers and sisters that died in combat as a military veteran. And so those organizations I've not even actually been able to get any kind of response back from yet. But those are organizations that we do plan to tackle throughout the year, with my idea being to do the St. Jude's around Thanksgiving, possibly Christmas time.
Now, I think people kind of look at it sometimes when you're donating and they're like, you're only giving 15 or 30%, but the amount of time that you guys spend doing this and the amount of time you guys spend in spaces and take away from your personal life and added time that you put in outside of your real jobs and stuff like that. I mean, I don't understand why people expect people like donate 100% of whatever they get. I think that's crazy. I think 30% is a very fair number that you're donating. The question to me is, do you vet these charities to make sure that a large portion of the proceed is actually going towards specific, specific donations? Because I know, like, our friend Chronic Cats, for example, his wife is big into pediatric cancer research, and donations into the American Cancer Society, only 4% go towards pediatric cancer. So she's trying to, like, kind of target to get more funding going into specific areas. So do you vet the specific charities prior to doing it to see where the money is being allocated once the donations go to them?
That's one of, like, pretty much, like, we want to help. I'm open to pretty much helping any type of charity or any need itself, but the only real biggest, like, discrepancy or, like, difference, or I can't think of the right word, but either way, the only real main thing, our focus is, we want where the funds are go majority for the actual cause or the charity in and of itself, not for, lining other people's pockets. I guess the best way to put it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important. I think that's what people really want to see. If you're giving X number of dollars to them, they want to make sure that it's going to that cause. If it's going to heart disease, they want to make sure a large portion of it's actually going towards that and not going towards the vacation fund of the CFO or whoever it might be.
Right, exactly. And so yes, we do try to vet these guys as best we can. But I'm also going to tell you that I don't know that it's foolproof the way we go about doing it, because realistically, we're dropping one project a week, and yes, I spend a lot of time in spaces. Thankfully, I have multiple devices and things that I can use to do homework at the same time. If I'm sitting in a space listening to it, or if I'm getting ready to come up on a space or whatever. But um, you know, there's only so much time in the day that we have available to do that. Now, I've been blessed at this point to be able to make this my full time job. This is what I do, and I spend, and Jester can testify to the fact that on most days I'm putting in 12, 18 hours minimum. And it's not because I am trying to chase the almighty dollar. It's because I believe in what it is that we're doing, and it's because I love what we are doing. And my dad, when we were growing up, he used to tell us boys, if you don't love what you're doing, it's time for you to find something else to do. And I
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add, and again, I love this. This is my thing. I honestly, and it doesn't matter how well my crypto does or how well this project does or any of those things. Jester and I have had several conversations where no matter what, because we're enjoying it so much, as long as we can do it, we're going to. Period. It doesn't matter if we end up becoming billionaires 20 years down the road. We're still going to keep doing it. Jester's Jester's still going to keep tattooing because he loves tattooing. You know, so yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with Jester in terms of doing this versus Jester doing the tattoos. But yeah.
So I know, like, there's a ton of different Polygon artists that we all run across on a daily basis, that we all are in spaces with, and a lot of them do some sort of donation, like Troglodyte Society, for example. That's a good one. They donate to build an educational center in Sierra Leone,
Yep.
and Sleepy Pirates, he's working on setting up something in order to clean up the oceans and stuff like that. Have you guys talked to any other NFT projects where you guys are gonna maybe do collaborations and team up on, and like kind of double the efforts on kind of doing some charitable donations together?
I've actually recently had a couple of conversations. One with Troglodytes as an example. Recently, about some of the stuff that they've got going on, and he and I did discuss things to the point that we have decided that we do want to do a collaboration in the future. But right now, I am currently involved in about 6 different collaborations. One of which I kind of fell into. I mean, I didn't even plan for it to turn into a collaboration. I bought a Dirty Dave or a Dirtbag Dave yesterday to show support for the community, and I believe in their project and what they're doing. So we bought into their project yesterday as number one, to show support for other creators within the community. Number two, because I think that project is going to be a wise investment in the future. But the thing is that actually kind of turned into a collaboration because Jester liked the idea so much that he decided he wanted to manipulate the Dirtbag Daves. And so when he manipulated it and turned it into an orc, Dirtbag Dave just absolutely fell in love with it. He thought it was the greatest thing that he'd seen. He was so impressed that we valued his work enough to do something like that. So now we are actually in the process of getting those uploaded and minted as ultra rares for his Dirtbag Dave collection. As us kind of being a collaborator on this specific model of it. And again, it wasn't something that we had planned to do. It just kind of fell into that way, and so yeah, it happens.
So we're talking to Komards, awesome project. We got Komards here and we got Jester. Letting us know about their NFT project. They do a lot of charitable donations and just spread really good vibes. If anybody has any questions, we'll bring you up here. You can ask the guys some questions that you have. If you're up in the box already, just raise your hand. You can bring up Twaffles, and you could ask a question if you'd like. Go ahead, Twaffles, if you have a question. No? Scared them off.
Yeah, I'm pretty scary, I guess. I've been told.
Who was requesting for so long to come up here. So are you guys working on a website, or do you have one in the works?
We actually kind of discussed a website last night, specifically for a DApp, primarily because there is another side project that we are working out the kinks in, is what I'll say. But it would be, in our minds, more beneficial to have like a one-page DApp site for Polygon for this specific side project. This side project would be, more of doing it for fun and just seeing what people think about it than anything. It would be a genesis for a series that could have potential to become a repeated project, where we drop the genesis, and if people enjoy it enough, then we could certainly look into doing a second generation or a third or whatever. But as far as utility being built into that project, we're not sure yet what utility that would be, other than the fact that no matter what, and it doesn't matter how many years we're doing this, Jester and I have already decided that no matter what, every single NFT that we sell will plant 10 trees. Doesn't matter if it's a project for charity, doesn't matter if it's a private project for profit. Okay. That is the one utility that all of our NFTs will always have, is planting trees. And when we can increase that number again, we certainly will. But by doing the 10 trees now, it completely erases the carbon footprint that we create by creating these NFTs. So it doesn't only just erase our carbon footprint that we're creating with these NFTs, but it also gives a little bit more extra back. And that was really important to me. And I'd kind of expressed it to Jester a couple of times when we first started out with the 5 trees. And then Jester was like, I get it. And then when I pointed out, it would completely erase our footprint, he's like, let's do it. I'm like, cool. So we did. Yeah.
So what was really like, what was the defining moment where you guys sat down and you're like, we're going to plant trees? Was there a specific thing that caught your eye? I know, because when I hear plant trees, the first thing I think of is Mr. Beast. I know he planted I think 20 million trees or something like that in a clip or something like that, which is completely ridiculous amount of trees to plant, and I don't even know how you would go about getting a team to plant that many trees. But was it something from him that you saw? Because I know he did a huge like tree planting project.
We actually didn't really. I mean, even when we started the project initially, it was about a week or so in that the idea had come to us, and I had not seen at that point anybody else doing tree planting to try and help offset the carbon footprint. But I had come across an article that talked about the carbon footprint that is created from NFTs. And I found that to be really bothersome for me. So I began immediately looking into ways to offset that. I looked at solar panels, I looked at windmills, I looked at hydro plants to try and help reduce that carbon footprint. And none of them at this point are financially feasible for us. Now, that doesn't mean that, again, we won't move into that when it becomes more feasible for us to do so. But the most feasible thing that I was able to find at this point was to team up with the Ann Arbor Foundation or Team Trees. And they've actually got a goal to set 40, I think it's 43 million trees over the next 5 years is what they wanted to plant. And the last I had looked, they had already achieved 24 million trees in their first 2 years. I think it was 2 years. So when I investigated them and saw the work that they were doing, and because it's the Ann Arbor Foundation and they're a part of that, I felt that would be a really good way for us to go, and a good way for us to try and offset the imprint that we leave.
So you go and you donate a particular amount of money, and that's equivalent to however many trees that this organization plants?
That's correct. So if you go to the Team Trees website, and anybody can do this. If you go to the Team Trees website, you can go in and say how many trees you want to plant. They have a couple of defaults that you could select from. And then each tree is $1 per tree. Okay. So, I mean, it's not a huge amount until you start giving back, 100 trees or whatever. But, so anybody can do it. The benefit of it is that of us doing it is that realistically, most of us spend so much time in these spaces or on OpenSea or on Rarible that we just don't think about taking the time to go do those things. So that's one of the reasons why we've said, hey, we'll take the burden off of you and we'll do it. Every NFT we sell, we'll plant 10 trees. And it's not necessarily to make ourselves look better, but it's to show that we as a community of NFT creators and artists, or collectors rather, do care about the world and do want to make the world a better place.
Maybe Dave would know. Dave, I'm going to put you on the spot because you interview so many projects on a daily basis. I was in, I want to say yours and Beluga's space a couple days ago, and there was a guy in there, I believe his name was Matthias, and he's doing a tree planting project as well. Am I right or am I wrong?
Mattis, I believe, is his name. He's Swedish, and he is planting 1 million trees per NFT, and he's created 1 million NFTs, and I believe they're selling for about $4 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with him, Komards, but maybe you guys could get together or something like that if you see each other in the space. And I mean, you both kind of have a similar idea, and I mean, 3 minds work better than 1 or 2. So maybe that could be something that could help you along the way to kind of achieve your goal.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I wrote his name down. I probably misspelled it, but Dave, if you want to shoot me a DM with his username or whatever, I'm always down to find different ways that we can give back and not shoot ourselves in the foot and make the world a better place. So definitely.
Yeah, Dave.
Already sent it.
Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to say, guys, if you ever, like, I was working in the background, I had my phone on a different app, I'm on my computer typing away on something, If you're ever going to do what Dave Elon One just did to someone who's sitting on the panel on your show, make sure you do what he just did and give someone like 15 seconds notice so that they can get over. I appreciate that, man. And active listening pays, guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, I tried not to put you on the spot right away. I gave you a little bit of headway, but yeah, he might be a good guy to maybe team up with. I know, like I said, he has a similar idea, and it just goes to show you that when Dave and Beluga do their space, I kind of just sit in the listener box as a creep and listen to every single project that comes up there. So I'm like the lurker.
Yeah, I mean, when we're in spaces, or when I'm in spaces, and it doesn't even matter if it's our own space or if it's somebody else's, as long as I have the ability to sit in there and listen, I kind of do the same thing. Plus, I can always, like, there's certain people I know, they'll pop in and they'll listen to myself as an example for a couple of minutes, and then they'll pop back out. They'll never say a word. They'll never throw an emoji, nothing. And then maybe if we're still in the space, an hour later, they'll come back in, they'll listen for a few minutes, and then poof, they'll pop right back out. And I like those people because those people are known as people watchers. And those are the people that really know what is going on.
Hey, Twaffles, do you have a question for Komards? I guess not. Well, maybe eventually Twaffles will have a question for you guys. So what are some of the charities that you guys worked with so far?
The first one we did was Elephant Voices, because the white elephant in Africa is endangered. And my wife has a fascination, if you will, with these animals. And to know that they're on the endangered species list, number one, it bothers me when anything is on that list. And unfortunately, there are so many animals out there that are on that list. I don't think even if we dedicated the entire year to endangered species that we would be able to get them all. And that's even with doing a collection every other day. But so that was the first one, and for me that was really important because it showed my wife that she's not being forgotten in this mix. And then we did a bonus charity for the local charity here where I was able to take some cash to her, and she had that meltdown. That was for a charity called Sonny's Legacy, which I had been very familiar with because at a point about 6 months ago, they had, we had a stray cat come to our home that had been run over. His face had been mangled to the point that I don't know how many of you guys remember Batman with Harvey Dent in it or anything like that, but his face had been mangled to the point that he literally looked like Two-Face. And this charity took their time, spent their money nursing this cat back to health, taking him to the vet to see what they needed to have done or not done. The cat had his face shaved and had his whiskers burned. Somebody at some point had even super glued this cat's mouth shut. So this cat was 12 weeks old, approximately, according to the veterinarian. And he had already had a brutal start to life. But so that organization was really personal for me as well. From there, we have done the Rose Knight Foundation. We have done a domestic abuse and violence shelter known as Interval House out of California. Then we did a suicide hotline. That's important to me because right now there are so many of us that spend so much time in these spaces and on various platforms trying to build our brands, build our businesses, that it's not hard to get lost in the emotional strife that takes place. Because it has been kind of a roller coaster emotionally, even for myself. Not to that degree, but it has been. There's moments of success, there's moments of failure, and honestly, I don't even really look at those moments for us that we've had so far as being failures, because we've learned from them. We've grown from those mistakes. So I like to look at them more as being a lesson. And then this week we went on ahead and did the charity for the LGBT center out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And it makes us feel good that we're able to allow the community their voices to be heard for the charities and organizations that matter to them.
I don't know if Dave's still rugged. He sent me a message. Oh, he's back. He is back.
I'm frozen. Man.
You're there, Dave. You're on open mic, and you are there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Wow, that's crazy because I can't shut my mic off. So I guess we're just gonna have to go open mic until this clears up. Let's see here.
There you go. Went off. Will it come back on? That's the question.
Dun, dun, dun. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes.
What a pain in the ass Twitter Spaces is sometimes. What's been the best community builder for you guys? Is it Twitter Spaces? Is it Discord? How are you going about really getting people's eyes on your project?
Honestly, being involved, and it doesn't. We launched our Discord a week ago today. In that week, we've managed to gain 115 people into that specific platform and server. Initially, we didn't feel the need for a Discord server or even for a website as far as that goes, because again, we did not anticipate the growth that we've seen. However, I would also say that because of the growth before developing the server, as an example, is one of the reasons why we've seen a pretty quick growth on that server. But I think more importantly, the reason that we're seeing the growth across the board is because I am always doing my best to be involved, to be helpful, to have an ear for people that need the ear, to not be afraid to give away stuff or NFTs or even my time to help and be a valuable and contributing member of what I will refer to as the NFT society. That's the thing. And whenever I look at people or friendships and relationships, I always keep in mind that, number one, not everybody deserves to be within my inner circle. And that goes for every single person in here. None of you owe it to anybody to allow anyone in your circle. It's up to you if you choose to do so. But the other side of that is that relationships are a two-way street. Okay. And you have to be willing to give as much as you take. And my wife even kicks my ass sometimes because I give more than we should be giving, even locally. If I'm at a gas station and there's a guy there that needs a sandwich or needs a drink or whatever it is that he needs, and I have $5 in my wallet, don't think I won't give it to him. And that drives my wife crazy sometimes because she's like, well, we could have used that for a gallon of milk, or we could have. And she's right. We could have. But this guy needed it worse than I did, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. And again, my wife and I do kind of go round and round about that sometimes. But she also states and knows that it's my giving nature that is part of why she fell in love with me. So that's why we give away so much. That's why right now we're running a deal where the first 500 people that come into the Discord server get a free NFT. It's one that was designed specifically for that purpose. And it's for everybody that comes in, the first 500. I hope you stay. If you don't, well, that's okay too. You still get your NFT, and yeah, this is why we do what we do.
So how much of an advantage is it being on Polygon when you're doing giveaways and promotions like that. I mean, it makes it pretty much, you're not really, there's no cost to it at all, and you're developing a community, and people get something for free. I mean, and really to airdrop 500 NFTs on Polygon, what does it cost you? Less than $1.
Yeah, it's showing. As of right now, we have dropped. I think it was 110 or 112. From that promotion, and I think we've spent about 87 cents. I think is what I saw. So yeah, I mean it's, and we chose. Look, we looked at several blockchains before we made a decision. I'm one of those guys that you can't make a decision if you're not informed, and that's just how I feel about it. That goes from blockchains to marketplaces and on and on and on. And for us out of the gate, we knew that Polygon was the place that we needed to be right now. Now, go ahead.
Do you feel like you made the right choice?
I do, and I think Jester does as well. We've been able to get involved with the Polygon Alliance a little bit. I'm definitely in their server. I'm pretty regularly in contact with Dave Steinbeck himself, the man with the plan. And that man is probably as giving as I am, if not more. But I don't think a lot of people realize that. But I support Beluga and his advocacy with the Polygon project, and I'm such a fan of Polygon that I even just hosted a class yesterday, for Polygon. It was a very basic fundamental class, but it was still a class so that people could have a better understanding of what exactly Polygon is, how it works, and why it should be considered to be used.
I have to bully Dave and Beluga on a regular basis to talk about their projects because they both have awesome projects, and they want everybody else to succeed. And that's the right attitude, really. Like I always say, when 50 Cent became big, right? 50 Cent brought all of his friends with him, or whoever it might be. Whenever somebody gets to the big time, they look out for everybody, and really, like the Polygon community, like everybody's so tightly knit. Like everybody's going to make sure that everybody succeeds when it's all said and done. I mean, I don't know. We got the tightest group of people, man. It's crazy. You see like these other projects like on ETH, and it's just like they might have a tight community, but it's just for that specific project. It's not like everybody supporting everybody. And it reminds me, I'm telling you, it reminds me of when I was like a teenager and like into punk rock. Like everybody just kind of like tried to help each other out, and it's like the fucking most punk rock thing, NFTs, man. I'm getting older. I don't go to shows anymore because I'm fat and out of shape, and I don't want to get hurt and punched in the face. But it's like my version of punk rock now. I finally got it back.
Oh, come on, Dave. There's nothing better than a great mosh pit. You know what? I can't disagree with you. I'm going to be 45 this year, and that shit hurts. Number one, and number two, I find that the older we get, the longer it takes to heal.
That's why I don't skateboard anymore. I don't want to fall. So
I've got a real urge to go and find a mosh pit right now, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I live in the sleepiest part of Britain known to man. There ain't nowhere I can go and mosh for days, but I really want to.
Start one up in like 7-Eleven or something like that. Get it started over by the beef jerky, man. Take down some racks. So I got a few more questions for you before we wrap up. We'll try to do like a little bit of a rapid fire. I went on your Discord and I saw something called Gorilla Cat. What's Gorilla Cat?
Okay, so I was in, and I'm still in, another Discord server. They had posted a picture of a gorilla holding a cat. Somebody made a joke about a gorilla cat, or a cat gorilla, I think was the actual phrase that they used. And I said, well, who's going to build it? And nobody chimed up. So then I said, F it, I'll get it built. So then I went to Jester. I ran to him with the idea. I'm like, dude, I think this is something that could become like a signature, blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm visioning. And I kind of relayed that to him, and he's like, bam, got it. And then, of course, now we have the original, and we're actually building a storyline, kind of like a picture book, if you will, of the Gorilla Cat and his adventures.
Can you get airdropped Gorilla Cat NFTs? Is that what you guys are doing?
Yes, you can. So the original Gorilla Cat, and this is where the idea kind of came from when we started the Gorilla Cat, was that any of our initial designs that we release, whether it's a Gorilla Cat, whether it's the new Wall Bear that came out, the very first print of that will be an airdrop for people for some reason or another. I will come up with something. I will. I'm good at making excuses. I will find an excuse to give the first one away. So yeah, you can definitely expect to see others in the future.
Cool. This one's for Jester. Jester, what programs do you use to draw the NFTs that you're using? Do you use Illustrator, Blender? What is it that you're using to make these?
I just use Procreate.
Okay, cool. I have to figure out how I could start drawing stuff. So I always ask to try to figure out what a good program is. I'm a shitty artist, so I needed to look like, somebody professional did it. So probably still gonna look like shitty art, but whatever.
Well, Procreate will help you with that.
All right, cool. Maybe I'll look into it. I saw you guys are using TikTok. Has that been successful for you? Because I don't see a lot of NFT projects using it. There's a lot of bigger crypto projects using it at the time, but I still don't see it that much in NFTs. Dave's group was the first that I really saw utilizing it properly, and now I see that you guys are using it. So how's that been working for you?
As far as generating awareness or sales and things like that for these charities, I haven't really seen much in the way of results there. However, the account was created on TikTok on the 24th of January, and that account is actually getting ready to hit 1,000 already. So I don't know why it's growing so quickly, but we post our content there, and I am sure you've already looked at some of it. And again, I don't know why people are finding value in that content, because it's really just us showing off what we do, who we are at this point.
Yeah, I was kind of curious what your trick was, because I saw when it was created, when your first post was, and you already have like 780 followers on there. So I was pretty impressed. I know, maybe I don't know. I might be talking out of my ass here, and I'm gonna talk out of my ass if that's the case. But I think once you hit 1,000 TikTok followers, you can start live streaming. Is that right, Wyatt?
No,
Yes,
that's
that is correct.
I have my own personal TikTok, and I go live on that one a lot, and that one has a whole nother series of artwork that I have that we'll actually probably be doing some other project with later on. But yeah, once you have 1,000 followers, at least for the U.S. and Canada, certain areas of the world, you have to have so many followers to be able to go live. I know some countries, they don't need any. They can just create an account and go live right away. Some have like a 500 limit. I know the US and Canada, specifically, it's 1,000 followers before you can go live.
Are you planning on doing anything with your project going live, and maybe even if it's like showing the proof of the charitable donation once you hit 1,000 followers, maybe you could once you for the LGBT group that you're doing, for example, like you could show your live feed of you just like sending the specific donation. Maybe that'll bring a little bit more awareness. Just trying to spitball a little bit.
Some of that, we've talked about some of that, showing, a video of actually handing over a check. But yeah, we've discussed different, ideas of how we want to approach that as well, or at least with the TikTok, going with everything else. Oh, real quick, Komar, check the share drive real quick. I just drew something while we were on this live.
So, what's been the biggest hurdle that you guys have encountered so far with the project? Hardest thing that you guys had run into so far?
I would say for me, it's been learning the whole process of transferring funds and using bridging techniques to get funds where they need to be and things like that. It's still a struggle for me to do that because I've only actually completed it successfully like once or twice. So I would say for me that's been the biggest hurdle. I don't think even the fact that my designated day off is Sunday, which there have been a couple of Sundays where I did some work anyway because the community needed it for whatever reason. But that's my designated day off, and that's when I do that to spend time with my wife. And I need to unwind. Okay, we all need to remember that we need to take a day occasionally to unwind, to spend with our families, and understand that your families are going to be your biggest supporters in most cases. So, yeah.
I got like one or two more, and then we'll wrap up. Before I forget, Dave, maybe we should figure out some sort of educational class. Maybe we could do it on This Is Not a Shill, where we could kind of show people how to convert into Rapti and use like a bridge. I think that's something that might help people a little bit, because I know that's a little bit of confusion that some people I know that I've spoken to, they're like, I don't know if I use Matic, if I use Rapti, and I don't know how to buy this. And I think that might be something that we could maybe help the community with if you agree with that.
Well, 100%. I mean, one thing that we're doing every Sunday is doing like an hour educational discussion piece, which you talked about tokenomics, and I've got a document that's going to come out about that later on, which is a fairly, it's a summary, guys. It's an overview at best. But like, it's not financial advice, and you'll see that when you see it. There's definitely opportunities to do stuff like that. Look, Polygon Alliance, all of this stuff's already there. Pull it from the channels. You've got Ron Paul that's got like a talking video guide of him filming what he's doing. He's put that in there. You've got videos from like Grandma, from Mattyverse, from Orats, that all talk you through the Umbria Bridge. We've got Umbria themselves in Polygon Alliance to support you guys. We can definitely put a show together. I reckon crossing it over with Umbria is probably the way to do it. But it's like 2 minutes max. And it's just capturing it and recording it properly, and making sure everyone's got access to it. I'll speak to Umbria and get something booked in. I think that's the answer. But if you need the tools, they are already there at Polygon Alliance in the Discord. Go and get them.
I sure will. Real quick, Elon, I want to do something here if you don't mind. Jester just graciously did something for you specifically, and I'd like to share that with everybody.
All right.
And I just pinned it up top.
I hope I don't rug pull. I'm trying to open it up, and I think I froze.
I'll DM it to you.
Jack Dorsey, I'm gonna get you. Oh no, I'm good now. I unfroze again. All right, so thank you for that, guys. I do really appreciate that. That's really kick ass of you guys. Super nice. You didn't have to do that. I'm actually kind of flattered. Thank you so much. Last two questions. Tell me about your Twitter space that you guys hold. When it is, what you guys talk about, and if you have any coming up with any kind of special guests.
So the next space that we have, it is a weekly space that takes place on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time in the U.S. That is our charity shill and chill night. We literally let people come up, talk to us about their favorite charities. When they're done, they're absolutely welcome to show their project, and we'll give them, like I will give them my thoughts, ideas, feedback, things like that, based on the experience that I have, which, guys, I'll be honest, isn't much. But I always try to do it in such a positive light that they leave the space feeling encouraged and feeling motivated about what it is they're trying to accomplish. Additionally, we do have one other regularly scheduled space, and that is on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. That space is for a class, and I allow for 2 hours in that. Um, Generally, the first hour is me giving a lecture, where I've also presented a Google Doc outline of the class, and it changes from one week to the next. Last week we did Polygon. What is it? And then the week before we did how to use OpenSea. The week before that we did how to maximize Twitter for maximum benefits. And the very first week we did a class was wallet security and how to best protect yourself. And each week it changes. This week I kind of think I found my subject matter, but um, I always kind of play it by ear as far as picking the curriculum that I'm going to use.
Well, that's awesome. And my last and final question that I always ask everybody: where do you see Komards NFT 1 year from today?
1 year from today, I can see that overall this year's projects will probably have about a 40 to 60% sell rate. We'll be well underway with the new project, which I believe will be doing very, very well. I will give you guys a piece of alpha without giving you details, but the project that we're working on, in addition to our current one, is a daily drop that will have 1,000 copies. It provides a daily use in real life. Every single day, you'll be able to use it in your own homes, in your own workplaces, in your own wherever you're at. And the best part of it all is we're thinking or guessing right now that it's going to be able to be presented to you guys for about $5 per mint.
That's really kick-ass. We're a little bit over time, but that's fine. I want to thank you guys for coming here, Jester, Komards. Really awesome project. Hey guys, if you haven't joined their Discord yet, first 500 people are getting a free NFT. So get your ass over there and go get yourself a free NFT and stay. Don't just be like one of those people that drops in and gets the free donut at Dunkin' Donuts and then decides that you're not going back to Dunkin' Donuts. Those people are.
Well, and just to let everybody know, we are working on constantly adding things to that. One of the things that we've got set up in there real quick, guys, is you have the ability to earn 3 exclusive NFTs of the Gorilla Cat that were designed only for Discord members that are there. The first one can be earned by being there for 30 days and reaching a level 10 on the ranking system. Second one by being appointed a mod. Third, appointed a admin. So I mean, we're always looking at different ways of giving back. We've set up a classroom in there. At some point, I will be offering classes in there instead of on Spaces, because Spaces seems to be a lot less reliable. But in addition to that, we've talked about creating a community night where we'll play trivia, where we'll watch movies, where we'll have a dance party kind of thing going. Different things like that. Because again, the whole idea behind social platforms in general, and it doesn't matter what platform it is, it's about building relationships. So how do you do that? You do that by interacting with each other, by getting to know each other, by having activities together and fun together. So yeah, guys, please check it out. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'll do our best to get them answered as quickly as possible.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for taking an hour out of your day and coming and talking with our community. And I know you guys are busy, super busy all the time. So I really appreciate you giving us the time and letting us know about what you have going on. I'm going to say it anyway, but you guys are always here pretty much every AMA. Don't be a stranger. You guys, you're a big part of this community. You came up really fast, and you're really proving yourself to be one of the leaders among us. So I just want to thank both of you guys. You guys are really awesome. And we're off tomorrow. There's no AMA tomorrow, but on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be having Beluga Bay with us. He's going to be doing a drop this upcoming weekend. So who's ever here, if you could, support one of the leaders of this community that supports everybody else here, that would be awesome. Komards, Jester, guys are the best. I don't know what else to say, but thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. I know that Jester and I were both floored by it, so thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Seriously, thank you.
No problem, guys. You really are a genuinely good person that is trying to do whatever they can to help. And yeah, you're a very good man. I'm gonna make you cry.
You might. Look, I am an emotional man from time to time, you guys. And here's the thing, and it's weird because that's not the only kind of messages I get, but the thing is that everybody seems to like look up to me or think I'm some guy that's special. I'm not. I'm just a guy that wants to make everybody in the world feel better and share love and positivity, and a guy that wants to make the world a better place for not only my daughter, but what about her daughter's daughters? And us planting trees, that's for generations and generations to come. That doesn't just affect us. In fact, the odds are is it won't even affect us at all, but it will affect our children in 100 years or their children. You know, I'm just a guy. I don't like the idea that people look up to me as a role model. I don't because, and I'll be honest, my biggest fear if people look at me like a role model is that one day I will do something and let somebody down. And I never want to let anybody down. That's why I always under promise. And then if I'm able to, I over deliver, and because I can't handle the idea of letting somebody down. That would be like my number one breaking point. Oh, and I do need your wallet so I can send you that NFT.
All right, no problem. I'll shoot it over to you right after this. All right, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to listen to me babble on like I normally do. Komards, Jester, you guys are the best. Love you guys. Have a good night.